Alright, back again, Luke here, and as you can see in front of you, these are a couple of those Game Boys that I picked up recently, and I still haven't had a chance to try them out. As you probably saw in the last video, they were just kind of stacked up there, and they got some scratch marks on them. They're not exactly in the prettiest of condition by any means. They've definitely been used and worn, and I figured we could give this thing a shot and see how they function. If they do function, you can see there's a lot of dirt and grime on the inside there. That's not on the outside. So I didn't have any of the AAA batteries here for the pink one, so I was looking all around and I found this one here. This is my remote control, so I figured we could steal the batteries out of this one. I'm sure some of you guys out there are pretty good at you know, things like that, trying to hunt down batteries, and you know, probably a lot of you have tried taking them out of remote controls before as well. So let's see if it turns on. Okay, well, this one's got nothing going on. And yeah, those contacts don't look corroded at all. They look alright. And these batteries here, they are new. The batteries in my my remote, woo, as I go flying. The batteries in my remote were dead before, so I replaced them just recently, but yeah, we're getting no power. Alright, well, that's one down. Looks like we'll have to take a look at that. And let's take this one here and give this a shot and see if this gets any power. You can see there's a bit of some corrosion going on there. Some leaky batteries that obviously had there. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. Just clean that up. Normally, if the batteries don't, you know, if they haven't had batteries in them, spinning them a little bit like that will actually cause them to get better contact. And let's see what this one's doing. Oh, this one too. Nothing. Those are brand new batteries too. I just pulled them out of the sheeting here. So, okay. Well, we got two dead Game Boys here. So what we're going to do is kind of crack these things open and see what kind of damage is going on the inside here. And that'll be part of our next video. We'll give that a shot now, take these out, and we'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. Okay, and as you can see here, we've got this thing already opened up. This is for the Game Boy Light. And on the inside here, it looks, you know, it looks a little bit corroded. It doesn't look too bad. There are some dull points on here. A lot of dust on the inside. But what we'll do is, especially around the on-off switch here, those contacts look a little bit dry, or those solder points. So we'll try and go over those, as well as going over the two posts here for the positive and negative and the batteries. And there's a small daughter board here that's attached on the side. And we'll try and go over those and see what happens there. We'll do the same thing on the regular Game Boy Color as well, as it looks to be kind of in a similar shape or similar condition as far as the contact points. You know, they don't look too awful bad, but they do look dry, and maybe it's not making a good contact there on the side. So we'll see what we can do about cleaning that up and getting a little bit more contact here. Hopefully that'll work out, and it won't be anything too super bad, and we'll be able to get these things going again. The inside of the cart slot there is probably going to need a nice cleaning as well. But we'll give that a shot right now and see what happens. So, got my soldering pen already heated up, and we'll give it a shot. And because this on-off switch here is basically, it's partially plastic, so we don't want to keep the solder and the pen on here for too long. Just a little bit of time here, just long enough to heat it up a little bit and get it to stick just like that. So you can see there's a little drop of solder on the side there. And we'll do the same here. It looks like, you know, it's lifting off just a little bit. We'll try and go over this as quickly as possible because that back part there is plastic. And for those of you who have done the light mods on these Game Boys before, you'll know that if you hold the soldering pen on there for too long, you'll wind up having the switch lock up on you, so that's something that you really don't want to do. Oh, some of these spots are really hard to get into there. And clean this off a little bit. Like I said, I don't want to stay on here for too long. Just want to quickly get a dab of solder on there and get off the post there. Okay, well, it's a little bit nicer. Luckily it wasn't on there for too long, so you can see how it's shined up quite a bit there. This one could probably use a little bit more tinning up. And yeah, we'll go over this and the other ones as well and try and you know, get them all kind of polished up like this. But yeah, let's get that done and we'll go from there. Okay, so far all I've done is I've gone over those points here, the ones that I said I was going to go over, especially with the switch here as well. And I just put one screw in here to hold this in the back of the case, as well as this one here to hold this in place. I went over these points here on the side, and I went over these contact points over here. So we'll put the backs on there and see. We'll just kind of place them on there and see if it does anything. Not sure exactly if it will or not, but it would be nice if it did. So let's put a couple of batteries in here. See if anything changes. Oh, look at that. We now have power. Fantastic. All right. Well, this one's working. Do we have sound though? Let's turn it up. I don't hear any sound. Okay, well, we'll have to probably go over that and fix that. Let's see. I know that cart connector is probably going to be pretty bad, but yeah, there's no sound there. Well, at least it's playing. You can see here, and the volume's not doing anything, but at least it's going. Well, obviously the dry solder points on that were the issue for this one. Let's try the other one. It's weird that it doesn't have any sound. And we'll get the two here, two batteries. Oh, look at that. Oh, this one's got sound. Fantastic. All right. Well, at least this one's showing a lot of improvement here. Or a lot of potential. Yay. All right. Well, the pink one here seems to be working so far. It's going to need some cleaning for sure. But, yeah, just a little bit of solder reflow here. And, start button's not working. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna have to work on that a little bit. But, I'll tell you what, for the next part here, what I'll do is, I'll try and clean these things up. And at least you can see that this one's working, and, you know, this one's working as well. You know, they are working. This one's just got no sound. And, yeah, this one's got no button action going on. Well, we'll see what we can do here. And, I'll throw up the last video or the last part of it. And hopefully everything will look nice and be all ready to go. Okay, and as you can see here, we've got the cases off. I've removed the screens here. And the screen here for the light is very, very thin. This is really, really fragile, so trying to take this out is a bit dangerous. But as you can see right there, there's a little bit of a scuff mark at the bottom of the screen on this. And what I had noticed is that somebody had actually tried to repair this before. It's probably kind of hard to see, but in the upper corner here next to the power light, there's a little bit of glue that's kind of just peeking out on the edge of the screen there. And someone has been inside this before, and therefore there's a couple of scratch marks on that screen. This screen is okay for the Game Boy Color, but I mean, once again, these things are pretty nasty. can see on the inside there. Yummy. And on the insides here, the sides along there, and yeah, the Game Boy Pocket. Sorry, not the Game Boy Light. I keep calling it the Game Boy Light, but it's not really that much different from the Game Boy Light, except for the light itself, but the Game Boy Pocket, yeah. So as you can see here, some really nasty looking stuff along the edges here as well. So we'll try to scrub these things up and get at all these dirty components here and get this thing, or get these both back to pretty operational shape, hopefully. What I've done too is with that other, let's see, where is it? This one here. With the Game Boy Color, I've gone around the speaker itself with a couple of dabs of solder on the top there. I've also gone around all the different ports here, just in case. I don't want any of these things to be loose or dried out, because then I have to open it up again. So while I'm in here, I just figured I'd go over that, and went around the speaker wires and the speaker itself to tin up those points, and hopefully that'll get our sound back. I don't know. If not, we'll have to open it back up again, but let's go and scrub these things up and get them all nice and looking pretty here. Okay, and as you can see here, I've gone and polished these things up the best that I could. You can see there's still some scratch marks here on the top, and I haven't taken those out. I don't have a buffing tool to get that out on the plastic, but for the most part, the other parts of the plastic came out pretty decent. You know, there are those wear and tear spots here that just won't come out. You know, this is part, it's actually inside the sticker itself, but other than that, you know, came out pretty decent. The purple one here, I mean, still has lots of damage to it. You know, lots of scratch marks all over it. The screen itself is pretty scratched up, but you know, I've seen worse, much worse. So it's still manageable. You still see it, and sides here, got everything all cleaned up, so no more of that nasty goo that was on there. You can see here, this is some scratch marks there on the side, or on the end. And the controller pieces, let's see here. Look here, got the D-pad. I'll probably go over these just a little bit more and try and clean them up. This here is just like from rubbing, so just where the plastic's worn down. And you can see a little bit more here where the plastic's worn down, but try and go over that a little bit more. And one more thing that I think I'll do before I put this one, especially the purple one, back together that had the problem with the speaker. Where is it? Over here. I think what I'll do is I'll also go over the pot here, the volume pot, and put some solder on that as well, just to make triple sure that hopefully the sound will work here. But I'm going to do that just before I put this thing back together, and we'll see the finalized setup here. So. Alright, and as you can see here are the final products. Was able to get them all put back together here, and you know, aside from all the scratches and the wear and tear that have been on these machines, they came out pretty decently. One thing that I can recommend if you guys out there have any of these older machines and you take apart the buttons and you wind up cleaning them up, after you get done with them, usually the insides here will be a little bit discolored or faded. You'll be able to see the scratch marks. So what I do is I usually just get a Q-tip and I put some oil on the end of it. It can be like bicycle oil or anything like that, and then go around the inside of each one of the pieces here, and with a little bit of oil, and it'll actually help remove all of that discolored part. And when you put these things back together, that's kind of one thing that sticks out. You'll notice there'll be like some scratch marks around the side here, especially if you know, if they're really dirty and then you clean them up and put them back in there, you'll definitely notice there'll be scratches from use. So just get a little bit of bicycle oil or something, put it on a Q-tip, and before you put everything back together, take all the pieces and go around the edges on them, and they'll shine right up. You won't even be able to notice any differences with them. But there's that one there. Turned out pretty good. And like I said, there's still, you know, some scratch marks and things like that, but not too bad. And here's the Game Boy Pocket. And there's that small scratch that's on the inside of the screen there, like I had mentioned, and then you can see up here where somebody's tried to glue it at one point in time. But this one as well came out really nice, and on the inside here you can see came out pretty well. Not too bad at all. So these are the parts here that you just can't clean up, but let's give these things a shot. Let's see what they do. So first off, let's try this one. I haven't had a chance to test any of these yet, so we'll see what goes on. Woo! Okay, that's not good. Interesting. Ah, there we go. It was a bit of a heart stopper there. I'm like, what is going on here? The Game Boy Pockets here do have a contrast, and I don't think the Game Boy Colors do. So that kind of freaked me out. Wasn't expecting that. But yeah, let's see. The buttons weren't working before on this one, so let's see. Well, they're all working now. Seems like it. So. Excellent. Yeah, this one seems to be doing all right. Just forgot about that contrast button on the or contrast dial on the side. And not too bad for the sound. Sound seems to work pretty good. Alright, well that's that one there. Seems to be alright. Now the other one, which didn't have any sound. This is going to be interesting too. So let's see if it's got any sound now. Ooh, still no sound. Well, I think what I'm going to have to do now is I'm going to have to, yeah, doesn't seem like anything's going on here. I'm going to have to replace that speaker. So, I guess there'll be another part to this video. We'll add on here and, yeah, see what's going on with that. At least this thing starts up, but no sound. So that's got to be a bad speaker on the inside there. Try and see if I can find one in my parts and give it a go. Stay tuned. Okay, so one more thing I'm going to do here before I decide to mess around with that speaker any further is I'm going to test to see if the headphone jack works on the bottom here. I do have a pair of just like regular headphones, so let's see if this thing even puts out sound here. I haven't had a chance to test this either, so we'll at least be able to hear if this does something. Ah, yeah, you can hear it. It's coming out the speaker jack, so probably a little bit difficult to hear, but yeah, you can hear it is playing sound. So obviously it's probably just that that front speaker that's bad, because it's working here. So that's a good point there. You can see there's nothing, and this thing is all maxed out, so won't go any further there. But yeah, so I guess what we'll do is just take this speaker out, and I don't have an exact replacement, but I was going through my parts bin and I found one of these old 3DS's, and there's a speaker on here, and I know that this speaker is probably just sitting on 2 tabs, but I should be able to solder a couple of wires to it and hopefully be able to get some sound out of that. But I might have to do a little bit of case customizing here, depending on the size, because I think that this speaker is not going to fit exactly inside here. So I don't know what I'll do. I'll probably do a little bit of tweaking around on the inside of this just to make sure that this thing does fit. But I'll test it out before I put it all back together nonetheless. So let's jump on that. Alright, so as you can see here, I've desoldered the old speaker, and you can see, yeah, it looks like it's had a bit of wear to it. It's a little bit thicker than the other speaker here that I've just wired back in. You can notice the thickness on this thing, but as far as the size goes, it's pretty close to the other size. The only thing is it's got 2 tabs here sticking out of the side, so what I'm going to have to do is cut a notch out here, and if the speaker does work, cut a notch out and then allow it to rest in there sideways. But as far as the size goes, it should be big enough to fit right in there. It should be small enough, I should say. So before we get this thing back together, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of jam the wires down just a little bit because I want to test to see if this thing actually does work before I put it back together again. So you can notice I still got quite a gap there, but hopefully that'll be enough for the batteries to go in, make contact, and me to test out a game. I can hope. Let's see. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, and the thing locked up. Probably just because it's not in there all the way. So we've got our sound here, got a nice working speaker, and yeah, we'll try and fit that in there, and this Game Boy should be ready to rock. So start button working. All right. So let's get to work on that and get this thing refitted in there and get this thing back together. Okay, so as you can see here, I've got in my other speaker, and it seemed to fit in there really well. What I did is I etched away a little bit of a spot here so that tab could fit through. Also just put a small piece of electrical tape over the top of those two tabs, as well as on the top here, so there was no grounding out or any sort of contact with the other points. But that's in there pretty good, so let's pop this thing back together here and give it a shot. Gotta love Nintendo here for making some interchangeable parts, you know, using a DS speaker here inside an old Game Boy Color. It's kind of nice. But yeah, nonetheless, this is kind of a fun little project, getting this thing back going again, and hopefully when we put it all back together, all those wires will be away from each other and there won't be any static or distortion or anything like that. That's it. This is the first time I've come across a Game Boy Color that's had so many issues. You know, I've had them before where they've had a couple of problems, but normally it's like the screen being broke or something like that. Alright. Well, let's pop in a couple of our batteries here. And pop her back on. Put our Rock Band World in and see how she goes. Yeah, look at that. Or listen to that. Sounds pretty good, if you ask me. It's gonna be difficult to see this thing and play it, but yeah, as you can see, it is working. Oh, it's working quite well. Let's see. Does that help out at all? Probably not. Yeah, sounds pretty good to me. Whee! Dead. But this one's working well. And if we go over here and take a look at the other one, going back to the old Game Boy Pocket. That's working as well. So, pretty nice. So, both of these guys here, they are resurrected back from the dead, and working pretty well. So, just want to share that with you guys here, and yeah, fun little adventure here with the old Game Boy Color, but glad to have them both running. But that's about all for me for right now. Like always, I'll put up another video here soon, so thanks for watching.